Yeah. Ready to go? Okay, we'll go ahead and call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum with everyone here. Mr. Miller, would you lead us to the Pledge of Allegiance, please?
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, nation under God, indivisible, with justice for all.
Hey, Dan, how are you?
I'm doing great, guys. Thank you.
Dan, before we go tonight's the night, we got to reorganize the board, so it'll be a little bit before.
That you're just fine.
Okay. Okay, the first item of business is reorganize the Board of Trustees. 2.1 is initial discussion of procedures and expectations for the coming year.
Okay. For procedures, obviously in 2.2, we're going to swear in the trustees who won by acclamation. We'll go one by one. We have County Superintendent Mike Miller here to initiate and take us through that process. Once the trustees are sworn in, we will then have nominations for a chairperson. If we receive multiple nominations, then we'll hold votes for each nomination. If we receive one, we'll vote and that person's just stuck with. So the same applies for vice chairperson. And then finally, we'll elect and swear in a district clerk. Our expectations for the coming year are to continue the progress and continue on the items that we're working on this current year. Those include increasing our graduation rate to as high as we can possibly get it. 100% would be excellent. That's our ultimate goal. Making sure that every student is either college or career ready. We do both here. We don't just do college. We do trade school. We go right to the workforce. We want every student to be prepared, whatever path they may choose. And we've got some projects we need to finish, including facility projects like the ACET building repair. And so we have a number of things. I look forward to working with you all as we move into year 2. Any questions, Gary?
No, sir. So we'll swear in. Do you want to do them individually, Mike, or do them together?
It's up to you guys.
How would you guys rather do them? Together?
Just do it together.
I have a long speech thanking the people that are departing and another long speech congratulating the new. Okay, we're not going to do that. We're going to do that today. Suzanne, I'm assuming you have that. So if I could have the other 3. Okay, so could I have the 3 folks who have been selected by acclamations for the.
You want us over there?
No, it's up to you.
Okay.
Just
Roxanne Inlet, Cole Cotta,
Bill Woodland. Okay. So in the oath, it says that you can either use I swear or I affirm, and at the end you can either say so help me God or you don't have. It's all in parentheses. All right. I do solemnly swear.
I do solemnly swear.
That I will support, protect, and defend.
Support, protect, and defend.
The Constitution of the United States.
The Constitution of the United States.
And the Constitution of the State of Montana.
Constitution of the State of Montana.
And that I will discharge the duties of my office.
Discharge the duties of my office.
With fidelity.
So,
Big we're in. Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thanks to everybody.
Thank you, Roxanne.
You stay, Mike, and participate if you.
Excuse me?
I said, you heard me. Okay, while he's doing that, the first thing we need to do is to elect the chairman, so the nominations are open for chairman.
I would nominate Gary Moore for the chairman position.
Sorry.
Are there any other nominations for the board or for chairman of the board? Are there any other nominations for chairman of the board? Are there any other nominations for chairman of the board? Got to do it 3 times. Seeing none, all those in favor of Gary Love being chairman, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Aye. Thank you. I appreciate your support. Okay, next is elect a vice chairman of the board. Nominations are open for vice chairman.
Roxanne Engel.
Second. Roxanne Engel has been nominated and seconded for vice chairman of the board. Are there any other nominations for vice chairman? Are there any other nominations for vice chairman? Are there any other nominations for vice chairman? Seeing none, all those in favor of Roxanne, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Congratulations, Roxanne. Thank you for doing it. Next, we need to elect and swear in a district clerk. So nominations are open for district clerk.
Nominate Suzanne Wall, district clerk position. Second.
Suzanne Volek has been nominated and seconded for the district clerk. Are there any other nominations for district clerk? Are there any other nominations for district clerk? Are there any other nominations for district clerk? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously. We might need to swear you in.
Congratulations.
Congratulations. Thank you.
The same thing, you don't have to say, so help me God, and you can say, I solemnly swear. I do solemnly swear that I will support, protect, and defend the Constitution of the United States and the Constitution of the State of Montana. That I discharge the duties of my office fidelity, so help me God. You're in.
Congratulations, Suzanne. Thank you. Yes.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you,
I don't think I will be back unless we have to swear people in the first semester. And by this time next year, you'll have a new county superintendent. Only one person filed for the office, so we're guessing that Dana Bizzell, who is working at the courthouse right now, will be the new county superintendent.
Who is one?
Dana Bizzell. She works for the road department and she's the administrative assistant for the county commissioners. She's a 9-year veteran of teaching. So she had all the qualifications and the file for office. So again, I will say thank you for all the hard work you guys do and congratulations on continuing that. Guys, see you down the road.
Mike, thank you. Thank you for serving, Mike. You were great to work with. Mike and I went to Boys State together about 10 years ago.
Yeah, Mick was my English teacher and track coach.
Well, that's right.
Only about 10 years ago too.
See, and I had color in my
You
hair.
had color in your hair. And I had shoes.
Next, Rob, could you introduce the visitors, please?
Yes, we have Casey Elliott, Lee Curry, Dennis Nicole. There's another just left. Shannon Manus, Ryan Vega. Oh, Gene Ferguson just walked in.
Welcome, everyone. The entire meeting and you can leave anytime and we will not hurt our feelings. Okay. Here, oh, let's, next thing then be review and approval of the minutes in the April 15th meeting. They were mailed in the packet.
So move for approval.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the minutes as mailed. Is there any discussion or questions? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay. Next is review and approval of the claims and accounts.
Okay. 8 pages, which is kind of typical. And we'll just go through as usual. If there's anything you see I don't mention, please let me know and I'll explain what that claim is related to. We don't have anything on the first page that would just stand out to me, and I'm happy to go over anything that catches your eye. Page 2 is much the same. Nothing really jumps off the page yet.
What was the, sorry, I don't, or line 18 at the top, that's, I'll pick up the new button.
I'm stuck in a secret trip there. That was the trip to Vegas to pick up the lightly used new activity bus, which has already been put to use. It's not in rotation.
Great. Do we like it? It was good.
Yes, I've nothing but, I've had rave reviews from the drivers that have been able to take it out on voyages so far. I'm hoping to find another one just like. Three. It's kind of a good month. We have major expenses. It's really such a breath of fresh air. It's good. Page 4, I've got a couple smaller ones just because they may not be familiar. They're not reoccurring expenses. Middle down the page, it'd be item 20701, and that's intuitive architecture. That's related to the ACE repair. That's the architect we have hired. That's the first bill we've received from them for work under thus far. And that cost was $1,086.49. Hoping Dan to keep it as low as possible as we move forward. We can afford it. Next item is directly below that. That's item 20702. That's Infinite Campus. That's our new student information system. So that's part of the cost for implementation of that new system. Again, we're switching from Power School to Infinite Campus. And that cost was $2,867.08. It also brings us into a line with the elementary, who has been using Infinite Campus for some time. Decided to kind of be on the same page with District 10 with our student information system. And then lastly, toward the bottom of the page there, item 20704, that's K-12 Montana Inc. That's our monthly bill. I know it's still kind of new, so that's $2,812. They've been working with us on updating our technology infrastructure. Our contract with them ends July 1st. So I'm working with Mr. Tukowski, Paul, on some potential options to maybe maintain some form of service with them. I don't know if we'll have the exact same contracts, but there's still a few items we'd like to knock out before school starts next year. And I imagine that we will keep some kind of partnership with them in some capacity. Any questions on those 3? Any other? Okay, page 5. You'll see in the middle of the page, 20711. That's Montana School Board Association. That's $1,584 for legal services for the contract, architect contract for the ACIT building. So that's been done, and Dan will speak a little bit more about that later. It's been making suggested revisions, and that's been sent back to Dan, and Dan's been in touch with Langless and Associates on the suggested revisions. But that's what that is specifically related to. Any other questions on claims on page 5?
They charge hourly.
Yes.
We have certainly. No one gets a certain amount free and being a member and then after that it's. Deborah charges $2.50 and somebody else charges $2.
Deborah was the one who handled this. Did it herself, so I'm really confident. He's probably our top legal. There's nothing else on page 5. I'll go to page 6. Nothing jumps off the page. If you have any questions, I'll answer them.
And Brandon Turney, a lot.
They make a fair amount off of it. We hope to limit that as much as we appreciate their service and excellent work. We hope to have no more bus tow sometime. At the last page, page 7, nothing jumps off the page. Again, happy to answer any questions. We have 56 claims, 54 vendors, with $59,767.93. Page 8 shows the breakdown among our funds for how those funds are paid.
I would move to approve the claim of accounts.
Second.
Then moved and seconded to approve the claims accounts as presented. Is there any questions or discussion? Those in favor, say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Public comment? I think one letter. Does anybody else have anything? Shannon will. One. Let me read this letter real quick, Shannon. This is to Beaverhead County High School, dated April 2nd. To the chairman of the board and members. This is from Lindsay Rouse-Burr. I just wanted to take a moment and express my sincere gratitude for everything the BCHS teachers and staff do for my son. You have a wonderful group of teachers. As a parent, it can be challenging to watch your child struggle in school, but knowing he is surrounded by such a compassionate and dedicated group brings me great comfort. The teachers that Tayden has go above and beyond to help him succeed. I truly appreciate the patience, understanding, and extra efforts that you all consistently show, whether it is offering additional help, accommodations, or simply helping encourage him. Those moments matter more than we can tell you. Because of you all, he is not just getting an education, but he is learning perseverance, confidence, and that there are people who genuinely care about his success. Thank you for believing in Tayden and for supporting our family in a big way. We're incredibly grateful for all of you. With appreciation, Lindsay Burr. Teaching nice. Shannon.
So, Mr. Chair, should I talk about it now, or can I talk about it when we get to it on the agenda? How do you want me to do
Go
it?
ahead and talk about it now.
No. Appreciate it. Shannon Manus. So when you get down to 7.6, that's the part I'd like to talk to you about for a minute. So first off, I misspoke last month on some of those A and B calculations, and that talking to lawyers, and all that stuff. So the 4D that I mentioned is for pupils, and there's a definition for pupils. So I just thank lawyers and politicians, I guess. Making it complicated. So, and y'all will discuss this, the part-time students and the homeschoolers that are enrolled. And the way it sets now, and Mr. Patterson will go over all this, talking about the 2 classes versus the 1 class. The 2 classes will get you the partial quarter A and B funding. 1 class gets you nothing. And how many students do you have that are just doing 1 class? And 4.
Next year, we've only had one that hasn't already agreed to go to 2. Gotcha. But we're going to require just 1.5.
And we still get paid at 1.5.
That's what OPS says, 1.5.
Okay, so see, now you're getting different stuff. Great. Anyway, I appreciate that, and I'll stay to listen to that conversation. What I was going to say is that I've already talked to several legislators this week, and there's already draft on the bill adding another line in there for an 8th A and B, which would classify as 1 class versus 2.
Oh.
So you have 8th, quarter, half, and full. So, but we don't go back in session until January. So depending on what y'all come up with from everything I've been told, the board can decide this. So, and we'll let y'all get through the conversation. My ask to the board would be, at least for fall, if we could continue to allow those couple students to do one class. We'll get in session in January, hopefully get that changed. We don't want to we're not trying to cut anybody out of money. I know how the A and B works and I know how you need that. So if for fall, if we can do that for those few students to do one class, and if y'all could approve that, then let us get up there and get that put into code where you can get that 1/8. And then you would have all kinds of options for the students that want to enroll one class, two classes, or half time. So that's my ask to you. If it gets that far, I would appreciate if we could do that at least through the fall and continue, because most of them are in kind of music band kind of classes, right? They're not like just coming from math. Am I correct on that? And so that's a big deal to a lot of the kids. And
So Shannon, will you guys, the way you understand it, if they do one, they get 1/8, they do two, they'd get a quarter. If they do three, would they get 3/8 then? Would it be stair stepped right up? Or?
well, yes, that's what we're thinking. So in the code, it's broken down into the hours. 180 to 359 aggregate hours pupil instruction is 1/4 time. That's the minimum right now. So we would like to add a line just before that, below that, something to 180 would be 1/8 time. Then so you'd have a quarter, 1/8, 1/4, halftime. I guess, I mean, we could really divvy it up, but that would just kind of be up to, but the plan is right now is to add that
So at least
to catch that. So from what I understand, and you get different opinions, but a lot of people that I talk to that have, provided there's room, right? There's got to be room. Most of what it seems like the ones that are doing the one class are like we just talked about, they're band, music, or chorus, things like that. You know, they're not banned for science class. And communities and school boards have just been gracious in taking that on. But we would like to fix that. So anyway, that's my ask for the fall. And so I'll listen to y'all's discussion.
Are you gonna stick around for that?
I will stick around for that part.
There's a lot of information I have. I think you can.
Oh, I've been on the phone, so we'll see. Because you can make one phone call and get information X, and then make another phone call and get information Y. And you're like, this person told me.
This information is what I got. Our board policy and it currently stands, and some flexibility in kind of opinion that you can share with those that want to know.
Yeah, and like I said, from the latest and greatest information I've got, it's with the way Montana set up, the school boards have power and autonomy. So one school may say yes, and one school may say no. But yeah, I'll stick around.
Okay.
Thank you.
Thank you,
That's my comment.
Shannon. Any other public comment? Yes, Lee.
So, and I'm remiss in this, and this may have been relayed already, but I did want to come and say that, when we had our basketball tournament in Great Falls, we had 3 buses in Great Falls. And then it got cold, and then it got snowy, and then it got real nasty. So we ended up staying in Great Falls for an extra night. Brock Millimaki did an incredible job lining out, because we'd already given up our rooms. We'd done all of this stuff and we were ready to leave. Brock did an incredible job getting rooms lined up again in literally the same hotels we were in. They hadn't, cleaned them yet, and he had to go between 2 hotels to get that done. He coordinated everything with the students and the teachers and the bus drivers and everybody else, and I just went to her like that. And parents, yes, he was a busy little bugger.
Gene, thank you for all you've done as bus driver, you and Kirk and
Yeah.
Jack, and all the things you've done for us. You've been tremendous. We appreciate it immensely. And we do appreciate Brock. Any other public comment, communication? Okay, the next item then, under the superintendent's report, would be Mr. McGee. Dan, you're up.
Thank you, and
first off, I want to apologize. I was not able to get a report in that you guys could physically see, so I can follow up with this after this meeting with kind of a write-up of what we discussed. One of the reasons was I was waiting for feedback from the general contractor and some additional information that our building envelope specialist had requested from them to do a little more exploring. So since we met last time, you guys approved hiring Sean Scott from Enclose. He's a building envelope specialist. As soon as he received that signed agreement, he dug into the drawings, and we had several meetings kind of outlining what his role is. And he is very detailed and very knowledgeable about building science. Started out as an architect and then realized there's issues with the way maybe buildings are designed and moved into the engineering and the science of how buildings perform. And so in digging in, he asked us to install some humidity sensors within the building. So through Dr. Patterson and Jake, we were able to place 3 humidity sensors just to kind of see what the interior of that building feels like. We monitor those. We were provided that information. I'll show you a couple clips here when I go to share my screen, but I just wanted to walk you through kind of what we've been working with. We proposed to him kind of the 3 paths that we had initially talked about, which was a exterior insulation with a metal skin. We talked about the filling in and sealing the CMU, putting an interior insulation wall on those high R or the shop space classrooms. And then one that we threw out early, if you recall, was the EFIS solution, which is an exterior insulation with a stucco type finish on it. We had concerns about our wildlife in Montana loves the sound of that. So we had quickly thrown that one out, went with the 2, which was the coating and a metal product. We talked a little bit about budget with not only the facilities committee, but the board, talking about what those solutions looked like and the potential cost for them. So he analyzed all that, and then he started to develop the science around each of those solutions and has continued to ask some pretty pointed questions about the actual performance of the building and the comfort within it. And so what I'm going to show you are the options that he laid out from a science standpoint, and then kind of going through his recommendations and why. Through this, he's, like I said, he's very detailed and he wants everybody to understand the way that the science works. And so he's offered, actually, if there's anybody within the building, any of the classes that would be interested in a 20-minute kind of webinar for building science and why we're looking at what we're looking at, he's willing and would love to offer that as a benefit of having him as part of our team. And so as you guys kind of hear this, it might be something that we could offer to one of the science classes, maybe the wood or the egg shop, just to see how do buildings affect and people within a building affect the environment within it. And then how do you kind of take a step back and look at not encapsulating a problem and trying to fix those things. Just as we've said, we don't want to cover something and have it create some issue that's going to, rear its head in 10 years that we didn't think about. So I'm going to try to share my screen here. And all right, Dr. Patterson, looks like you'll have to turn on sharing.
A second.
Sorry, I was working on compiling these as I've received photos, and that just this afternoon to kind of fill in some of the blanks. So I apologize.
See if that works, Dan.
Oh, there we go. Perfect. All right. You guys seeing that layout there? You guys seeing that drawing? There's some photos Okay, perfect. All right, so what Sean did was he took our infrared camera photos. He took all of the reports from that, the corrected concepts that we had, and he started laying out some options for us. So as you look to the left, we've got our exterior wall. So he's got an image here that we'll zoom in on. So the two images, top and bottom, represent what we currently have. This is representative of what the wall looks like on our science wing. So we've got our split face CMU block, we've got a furred wall, insulation, and sheetrock. And the path that we had talked about is saying, hey, we're gonna seal this CMU up with a sealer, and then we're gonna paint it, and then we would maintain the interior as a sheetrock finish wall on the classroom side, and then down below, similar with the high R block, we were looking at putting a coating on it, painting it. So some of the questions that he started to ask are, okay, well, that's fine, but we're still not meeting our R value. So that's where we started to talk about putting this interior finish on it. So our secondary option, and this is what we had proposed in our last meeting, was again, high R CMU block interior. This would be our shop space, the egg classroom shop, the wood shop classroom. Coat that, paint it, come in interior. Now, our solution that we had proposed was a furred out wall with insulation and sheetrock. Again, one of the things he starts to worry about is where's moisture going to land, and he uses those humidity sensors to be able to determine, well, if the temperature outside is X and we've got a relative humidity on the interior, there's going to be a point in that wall where that moisture is going to want to condense. So he's proposing that if you're going to do that solution, we would end up needing to put a layer of spray foam, which would actually create that barrier to where no moisture would go inside the wall. So we'd be sealing it on the outside, but if we didn't put anything that's a closed cell, that moisture could find its way into the center of the wall. So that's a little change that he had said, if you're going to do that, you're going to probably want to consider. And then this is a representation where he's saying, and if you're doing that on the shop space side, you're going to have the same problem on your classroom or your science, that northern classroom. So is proposing that you'd want to remove all the sheetrock, spray foam everything to seal that block, and then rebuild it with your insulation. That starts to trigger our budget. So he's kind of working through his solutions with the design team, contracting team, to show how the science works. So lots of information. What this is going to turn into is I'm going to request a facilities meeting with our small group with Sean to be able to talk through some of these solutions and help us understand to drive to the right project. His recommendation at this point is to look back at the EFS solution, and that threw some red flags up to not only the design team, myself, as well as Langless, is because of the concern of what that potentially introduces, which is birds, wildlife, impact resistance, those kind of things were, and then the lookup, concern of, hey, are we going to have a stucco looking building? He's worked with it. It's, in his opinion, based on the science, it's the best solution that to solve a lot of the issues that the buildings have, or the building has. And he said, the thing that you're thinking about is 20 years ago, how this stuff was built versus how they build it now. These images in the middle are actually an EFS system that are made to look like metal or brick. And those are all high impact or bird resistance products. which then come at a premium. So some of the stuff that I was waiting for today was the budgetary discussion, so that I could say, hey, if it's, $2 million, it's not even on the table and we need to pull back. In all actuality, we found a company here locally that does this and gave us a couple examples of projects in Missoula that he's done. One of them is 15 years old, and I didn't realize that it was done this way. There's zero bird damage at all to it, and it's a high impact. So he just wanted to show that it doesn't have to look and act like the old stuff that we're used to. Okay. Any questions I know I'm going through a lot.
Dan, would
Go ahead.
we have to paint that, or would that be, would that go on in a color that we wouldn't have to paint?
It would go on in a color that has a tint in it, and then there would be probably a 7 to 10 year refinish. But depending on what style, if we decided something that's got more of a metal look or a block look, there's going to be a lot less maintenance to it versus a paint. So it'd be probably a lot more similar to the finish that we had proposed, which is a sealer and a paint, which you'd have about a 7 to 10 year maintenance plan for it. Does that answer your question?
Yes.
Okay. All right. So I'm going to jump down to the next page. And so one of the things that he was concerned, and Sean is the gentleman's name, is that we're addressing the walls. And as we look at the detailing of how the wall to roof detail was done, he has some concerns about this connection. Right here. So it's kind of a bad fuzzy detail, but we've got this metal deck that runs along horizontal to our roof trusses. There's these gaps in what we're trying to avoid is what they call a thermal gap. So we have insulation that stops. There's metal that intersects it, that touches the outside of the wall, and that transfers hot, cold, moisture, those kind of things. So he's got a real big concern with, hey, we're gonna trap all this moisture in the building, and it's gonna get into this space and condense, and we're gonna have potential of moisture, mold, rust, whatever it could be. And that's where that relative humidity comes into play that he's really trying to avoid. So that's where these roof details, as he starts to look at how are we going to seal up and protect where moisture is going to want to gather. So building science has started to prove that our membrane roof, we've always treated that as our vapor barrier, but we don't have anything protecting the bottom side of it. And that's where the moisture is going to build up from occupants. So as you know, as you sit in a building, humidity goes up, that's going to rise up because it's hot and it's going to want to condense somewhere. And we want to try to avoid that. So in his continued recommendation to go to an exterior product, it's going to allow us to wrap that insulation all the way up and over our parapet, have it land within the roof component, and that creates that exterior barrier that's going to keep the moisture to the exterior of the building. So as part of his investigation, Langlos was down on site last week, had a roofer come in. We cored the roof in 4 different locations to see if there's any moisture building up at the base or underneath the insulation. And so far, all the results show that there's no moisture that's below our membrane and above our metal pan deck. So that's a good thing. That kind of gave him a better understanding that how the building is performing, and then can continue to develop those details to ensure that as Langlos continues to find those subcontractors to provide the work, we know all the potential pitfalls and we can address them through the detailing of the building. So long and short is I would love to get another facilities meeting. within the next week or so that he can talk a little bit more about the science. We're going to have some better images to maybe go back and study, would we consider an exterior solution? I got the pricing late this afternoon, so I was reworking some numbers. It's less than the metal and it's slightly higher than the painted solution. But as we've talked through it, I'm starting to lean back to the idea that it might be something for us to really consider to not create an interior problem that would go uncovered or unforeseen for some time before maybe something would happen to the building in 10 or 15 years that we'd like to try to avoid.
Dan, how does Langlis feel about the ethos?
They're
Upgrade?
based on the latest information and the subcontractors that they spoke with, they're more lining up with in favor of it as well. But I want to show you a couple examples. So these are the relative humidity reports that we were able to get from our interior monitors. When I look at these numbers, as we know, Montana's not a super wet area, but at 20% or 24% relative humidity, and then they look at the exterior temperatures, and they're like, all right, at that 67-degree average, the days that we were monitoring this, the relative humidity at the peak of the day is about 50% based on the occupancy of that building. And we'd love to keep that lower. And I think that in Sean's explanation is that we are getting, that's happening because of some of the building envelope that's not completely sealed. So we're building up more humidity than what we need to, because then the mechanical system isn't able to get rid of that, how it was designed. And so he's happy to see that there was no humidity in that roof layer, but he's wondering if it's stopping somewhere else. So there's some building science things that he's starting to analyze now that he has that data that he received just early this week. So just kind of the science of it, how he's looking at it may be different than what we are from an aesthetic standpoint. And I think going back to our not wanting to cover up a problem just to say we fixed it, and create something that maybe not this board, but a future board would have to deal with down the line. So big concerns about even considering it. This is a building that was built 2 years ago, and this was one that Langlis did. And as you can see, the birds have had their way with it. This is not a bird-proof system. This was a low-dollar basic EIFS system. This is right here in Missoula, so I was able to go and look at it, and I'm like, that is not acceptable. But the gentleman that we spoke with that lives in Missoula did this project, and this is at the Holiday Inn downtown Missoula. And this is 15 years old, and there's 0 bird penetrations anywhere in it. It's a standard stucco type finish, not the look that I think we would be looking for. So we were able to get a price. The metal that we had originally proposed that still had some issues with enclosing the structure the way EIFS would, was about $28 a square foot, high-end, impact resistant. I'm sorry, not $28. It was $48 a foot. EIFS, the high end, is about $35 a foot, and that's where you can get into an architectural type look to where we can have varying looks of the finish. In the conversations that we've had with Sean and Langlis, as well as Marie, it's starting to feel like we would be solving and not just covering up just to seal that block. We're actually going to address a bigger envelope issue that comes down to the initial design, and then the initial construction of. This is going to address a lot of those potential misses that were there. I don't want to say that they were wrong because it was obviously permitted, it was signed off. It's just the engineering science wasn't thought through. And in the short time I've worked with Sean, I've got another large project up in Flathead County that we have brought the issues up, understanding where the condensation can happen. And they're actually going in and revising details based on the engineering that Sean's provided before the construction even happens. So, a lot of information. I apologize, this wasn't in a written report, but I just was getting the data today. So I'll file an official report that has this written out with a request to our facilities group to see when they would be available, within the next short period of time to actually let us get a little more detail about what the look could be, maybe get some renderings, and then have Sean come on to help define it maybe a little clearer, with his kind of building science spin on it. I'm leaning more. I wasn't a big proponent of it, obviously, from the get-go. But I've been more convinced in the last week or so that this might be the right long-term solution for the district to solve all of them. And we're still well within our budget, looking at making some assumptions on, the hollow metal windows, sorry, the hollow metal door exterior. All those details around our exit doors would be addressed. All the storefront window solutions would be addressed. It actually would be probably easier to solve with this type of product because of the way it can be framed around our windows. So I'm changing my tune, so to speak, and feel a lot more like I could get behind recommending this to the community as a long-term better solution than where we've been.
Then Danny, if we put that product on, then that would cover the block completely, so you wouldn't see anything.
Yeah,
Of the
well,
block.
and that's what I challenged. It's a great question because I challenged Marie today, because there are areas that I think, say the spine that runs between all the shops and the classrooms. We've got nice entry, nice block. I don't know that we want to get rid of all that. So I've kind of challenged from an architectural perspective on how do we maintain or keep a similar look. And that's where I think with this higher end product and the ability to add finishes that resemble existing, I think we've got an opportunity to keep a lot of the architectural look of it. And as we spoke today, Marie and I, looking at the shop spaces, maybe that's a much simpler type of finish, not as simple as this, but then we focus and spend a little bit more time and effort on an architectural finish from the entries around on the classroom side. And that's where that detailing comes in, and we'll collect some more samples of what those finishes could look like. All the nice thing is the trades that Langless has been speaking with, they've all got availability. The other benefit of a solution like this, 98% of it is all exterior. So the schedule, we're not going to impact classroom spaces like we would if we have to start tearing sheetrock off of classrooms and try to get that refinished before, middle of August. So I'm kind of feel like I'm going a little bit backwards, but with more data and more information, I feel like I can get to a really good place to make a recommendation like this. but obviously I want to have a much longer dialogue with the facilities group so that they feel as comfortable as I do, or potentially comfortable as I do, in hearing it from the person that speaks that science a little bit clearer than I can.
So in terms of a facility committee meeting, how does next Thursday, the 14th, so it's usually the 14th,
I'm actually out for a little bit. So I'm
you know, Roxanne's meeting.
country. But I, you know.
And Sean would, to try to keep our costs down, would do it remotely. So we can set it up in a Teams or a Zoom type meeting, and be a lot more flexible with everybody's schedule. I feel it's going to be an hour and a half, 2 hour discussion with a lot more representation of what the look could be. So I want to make sure that I don't take too much of your time, but it's very interesting, and you're going to gain a lot of knowledge of why he's, I push back saying, well, couldn't we spray foam the corners of the ceiling? Well, then he goes, well, no, we're going to have to do everything. Well, that changes the dollar, impact immensely. If all of a sudden we're taking down all the ceiling tiles to get up to spray foam, what do we hide? I mean, and I think that he's really thinking through the science, and having you guys hear it from him and the way he speaks about why and how things happen could help, I think, each of you gain a little more comfort, and actually seeing a building that I've driven by and I've been in for the last 15 years, not realizing that I thought it was a true stucco, that why you wouldn't see the damage, but it is that high impact bird resistant product that's 4 miles away from that hotel that I showed you that's got bird holes all over it. So I was surprised. I walked around it today and was pleasantly surprised at, obviously there's, the stuff down low where there's sidewalks and they've maybe used a snow blower or a blade. There's some areas that have damaged, and those are the concerns that I brought to the design team, saying, can a metal product be installed low to protect from mowing? And those are solutions that we have to still work through. But within our budget, we can accomplish, I think, all of those, take care of any of those concerns that we might raise.
Well, does the 14th work for you, or do you?
Later in the afternoon would be, we're rebranding, but anytime after.
Anytime after 3:00? Does that work for you, John?
Yeah, I know we got a choir concert Wednesday, so we have to bring that up. And I've got a meeting with Montana Tech at about 3:30 on later.
Later in the day on the 14th works better for me. I've got a bid opening in Kalispell that morning.
So if we did what time? We'll be gone, right?
I doubt that I would be able
Yeah.
to, unfortunately, being a beach summer.
I can be around and need bait.
Sure. Get paid shit for it.
We just want to say 4 then, you give Cole a little time.
More work for you, Dan?
Yes, that would be great. And that gives us a little more time to collect even more information, really get the roof information dialed in, and Sean will have a lot more of a solution, on all of it, the entire package, that then Langless will be able to crunch the numbers and make sure that we're not recommending something that's going to blow us out of the water. But right now with the numbers, we're within a couple % of where the paint solution was. which makes me feel better to even bring it back up.
Not having to touch the interior walls would be nice.
I guess they still check some of the classroom walls to make sure they don't have prior
Yep.
leakage, yes.
Yep, there would still be removing all the storefront, so all the glass in all the classrooms would be removed. Section of that sheetrock would need to come down to verify that there's nothing behind there that we need to mitigate. But once we were to install something like this, that includes sealing all the CMU. So we actually create a secondary barrier on the exterior of the building. So it's doing a similar coating that we were going to do with the paint, but then it brings that insulation to the outside, which then just makes the building that much, perform that much better. Because we're removing any kind of a thermal bridge that would allow, cold transfer to the interior of the building, which that's where that dew point concern starts to raise its head.
It's intriguing that the birds really do not go near that though. That's
Yeah.
amazing.
It's very surprising, and I think because I went and I tapped on it, and then I went over to the hotel, and it's like tapping on a Yeti cooler versus a styrofoam cooler that you buy at a grocery store. I mean, it's solid. It's got some heft to it, and I never had really paid that much attention to it because it's not something that because of those concerns of damage from wildlife, rocks, whatever. It's just always something I've shied away from. But Sean has an example where a manufacturer brought him to a project, gave him a 34-inch aluminum metal bat and said, start hitting it, and did not do any damage to it. Very
Wow,
surprising.
really?
Yep. So
Because we have issues on the campus. I mean, we have birds that just keep putting holes in the row house and it's
Yeah.
wood type of a building, but yeah,
Yep.
interesting.
Oh, that sounds good. I can sure meet at 4 if that works with Cole and Mike, if you want to pinch it for Roxanne and Josh, that would work great. Do we just want to meet in this room? I guess.
Yeah, we just meet here.
Okay.
Yeah, I will forward this in writing, and then I will continue to feed information to the group. And then let the team know, and we'll make sure that everybody's available to be there at 4 o'clock on Thursday.
Okay.
Okay?
Thanks, Dan.
Thank you all. Appreciate it.
Okay, well, that's our ACE building repair projects update. And that's item 7.2 with the. And so this kind of outlines and details what the items of the agreement are. And so we're agreeing with the following revisions. We're agreeing to the following revisions to our collective bargaining agreement. And that's, I think it's each section for health insurance, going to move to Pacific Source as our carrier. You'll see that addendum there that Suzanne provided, so you can see how the breakdown looks. By switching to Pacific Source, we received a 4.2% decrease in premiums, which we are going to split 50-50 with VFD. Next, on the paid time off section, we're maintaining the language regarding PTO as is. For last year's paid time off, so last year's the trial run. We decided to codify that this year and keep PTO as it is. Didn't have any major issues with PTO this year. Seemed to kind of go along okay. So we're just going to kind of keep that language as is. About PTO and sick leave, donated sick leave. So we had to mention those sections. Bereavement leave, we had to clean up some language in there. And again, your agreement it's in here, it's attached. The whole package. We're able to agree on those language changes or updates. A maternity leave, again, references PTO, so we mentioned that. Salary schedule, which would be an addendum, so we're removing that to addendum A. Instead of XX, it would be addendum A. We agreed to increase the base by 2.25%. And then we also have addendum B, which here in my report listed as XXI as the Activity and Extracurricular Sponsor Index. That will also be an addendum in the CBA. And we agreed to add Drama Club sponsor to the index at 0.045%, and then to freeze the increments at current 2025-2026 figures. So we're freezing the matrix as it reflects this year, just adding speech, or adding Drama Club to the activity and sponsor index. Any questions on any of those items?
And I think the one thing we did discuss with the union that we had brought up last year, and Josh brought it up again this year, is we try to figure out a different matrix for the coaches and sponsorships and activities people, rather than what we've had, and try to have something next year, right? We think.
Yeah, put out I think I shared it with some of you. I put out a performance-based flat rate index. So when we started with flat rates, we're all varying according to their position. With, of course, the head coach or lead sponsor receiving the highest amount, and then lower amounts for those in supporting roles. But I really wanted to incentivize performance. So if you achieve some great task, then I feel like you should be rewarded for that. So my proposal included some incentives like that. Performance for, let's say, for example, winning the division championship, getting an increase in pay for that, winning the state championship, another bonus for that. Being recognized as number one in the state in your activity, number one in the country for FFA, since our FFA team is first or second every year, we got to provide a little incentive for them for that. So that's the kind of discussions I'm having with them. Not sure, if we reach an agreement, but at least we're having those discussions, and I'm hoping to work with them that we do next year. See where we wind up.
So we need a motion to approve the,
It'll be later. This is just kind
Okay.
of summarizing everything. Ellie, did you have anything to add to that as part of the negotiation team?
No, I think, the BFT interested in kind of looking at that new plan for coaching and advising. And, but yeah, I think over the next year, that will give us time to take a good look at that. But I think they're open to that.
One thing, we didn't really discuss it, but last year when we did the PTO deal, we did it on a 1-year trial. Did we make it permanent then? And then UCB, is it a permanent deal rather than a time?
This would be codified.
I think we felt good about that, didn't we? Bill, you guys were,
Yeah.
Bill and Roxanne. were okay with that.
Any questions on the negotiated agreement with the BFT? Okay, notification of acceptance of resignations. I've accepted the resignation of Jason Harris, who's got a tremendous promotion for Western as the athletic director there, activities director. We're happy for him. We hate to lose him. At the same time, that's some opportunities come along that you just can't pass up. So we're excited. Brock has a tall task now in helping Coach McCray find her some replacement coach too. So we're getting on that right away. School transportation update. We already talked about. We got that got a new activity bus. It's already put in rotation. That's working out well. Transitioning to co-educational health enhancements. This is a big one. And you can see kind of commentary there, but we're looking at shifting to the co-ed PE, essentially. Breaking it all. Right now we have a girls PE and boys PE. And we don't have that for weight training. We just have it for the course that's titled Health Enhancement. And so I'm looking around at the rest of the high schools in the state, and elementary, and right here at District 10 are all elementary school. Currently, all their PEs co-ed, been that way for years. Most, I'm sure there are probably some. I think there's maybe a middle school in Bonner that was doing girls and boys PE. That's the only one I think I've found researching on the internet so far, making calls. But so I feel safe in saying the vast majority of Montana high schools are doing co-ed PE. And so I feel very comfortable making that same move. There's good reasons for, in the case of Title IX, providing equal opportunity for making this move as well. And so in doing this, we would change next year. So all PE classes would be mixed gender.
So this upcoming year.
This upcoming year, this is a change going to affect for the mixed gender, often in the workplace, we have to work with all genders, right? And so I feel like this is also another good reason to go ahead and make that transition. Now, we do it in all our other classes. PE is no different. Of course, we're going to maintain separate locker rooms. Those are girls only, biological sex, girls only, biological sex, males only, will be maintained in accordance with state law.
Both PE,
Going to make that recommendation tonight.
and both PE teachers are okay with it.
Yes, I've spoken with Mr. Walker and Mr. Keller, both are on board and are excited at the transition. Both Mr. Walker and Mr. Keller have previous experience in other districts teaching co-ed PE. That's also help as well as it's not something new to them. They've done this in the past. Any questions on that? All right. Next, we got another one. Required number of courses for part-time. What Shannon was interested in. And after having a conversation with Nicole Thulot of OPI, last time we spoke, she said that the minimum we could do to reach that 180 is 1.5 courses. So essentially that's 1.5 credits. And again, there's multiple ways you can achieve that. Now, I also met with Christy Hendricks and I believe it's Emily Williamson for the homeschool coordinators for the homeschool co-op. I met with them and spoke with them about this and offered them some flexibilities that we currently have in district policy. And some of those flexibilities are that you don't have to take every course here on campus. We offer courses that are remote. The students that need more flexibility in their schedule can take advantage of that. More specifically, the course that I point to, or the program I point to is Montana Digital Academy. We have several students taking various courses through Montana Digital Academy, which can be taken completely remotely, depending on the course. Some are more hybrid, some are completely remote, and can be taken. Some are offered according to a teacher schedule, which have set established times, and some are completely on your own pace. And so I feel like that's a good compromise, a good that gives our homeschool population more flexibility where they don't have to be here on campus. They can certainly choose to do something like a Montana Digital Academy class. We can count that for the purposes of A&D. And so feel good about that. Now, the caveat is those courses cost money. They're about $128 per semester. So if you take, let's just go, for example, we have a student in choir. They're coming for a full year in choir because that's what they're doing all year. That's 1 credit. So what do they need? A half credit. That's a 1 semester course. So you could take a 1 semester Montana Digital Academy class, pay that $128, and that would satisfy the enrollment requirement of 1.5 credits. Now, if things would change in the future, I would certainly be happy to amend this recommendation to go back to a 1 course policy. But as things currently stand, and seeing how, again, with the 4 students that were doing 1 credit, we only came down to 1 that still had a challenge with it. And I feel like after meeting with that student's parents and presenting these options, that there's some flexibility there. Now, to go further, in our policy, it also says that if we can have let me read it specifically. If that homeschool institution can prove that, okay, the superintendent, this is our board policy 2168, remote instruction for non-district students or non-district sources. The superintendent or designee has verified the course is delivered from school or institution to be accredited by a nationally recognized accreditation program or agency. So if the homeschool student is taking a course that is nationally recognized as accredited, we can count that according to board policy. Now, I've not found any besides Montana Digital Academy or BYU. That's the other program we use. And of course, BYU, you have to pay for those courses as well. We don't pay for those as a district. And so there is some flexibility. Is it perfect? No. But I do think this does provide some options that we weren't previously aware of. And I know after speaking with Emily and Christy about it, that they were excited. Well, they're not completely happy about everything. They were excited about the potential with these new flexibilities. That always existed, we just didn't know. Well, not always, a lot of these happened within the past 5 years. But we just kind of, we adopt these policies and sometimes we forget about it. And so I think that's encouraging. Another thing I've mentioned to Christy and Emily is about our dual enrollment classes. And we've got so many good ones with Western. And some that we teach here and some that we teach through Western that's online. Next year we're doing college algebra. And so those are some courses that a homeschool student, it might appeal more to them because that would directly go toward college credit. A lot of those Montana Digital Academy classes, guess what? A lot of those are dual enrollment too. And so I feel like after having that conversation, I've hopefully opened the door, planted the seed that BCHS has a lot to offer. We can be a good conduit to helping them get a start on their college education while also meeting the requirements for enrollment as currently established by OPI and the Board of Public Ed. So that's kind of what I have to give you there. I'll take any questions on that.
What about, like Shannon had mentioned, until the legislature can do something, what about the students that still just want to take one credit? Would we allow them to do that or not? Or would they have to do 1.5?
In talking with legal counsel, they say when you establish policy, you got it. It's all or nothing. You can't carve anybody up. I had also asked, what if we just grandfather in
Yeah.
all the freshmen? They said, no, you can't do it. You got it's all once you establish something, policy like that, it's got to be for everybody. You can't grandfather that either. They didn't like the potential legal challenge to that, and I don't want to fight any legal challenges. And so again, because I feel like we've offered some flexibility. We're talking about a half credit when it comes down to it, because everybody, all 4 of those are already taking 1. So I feel like this is good flexibility. And with all due respect to Shannon, I'm not going to put my complete and total faith and trust in any government to get accomplished. We all have high expectations, good intentions, but it doesn't always work out the way we want it to. So I would feel like it's within our best interest as a district to do this now. Because again, what I'm hoping is that we grow this part-time enrollment. And so I feel like it's important we should establish that expectation now. We can always go back when and if, and we hope that it gets reduced so it meets that 1 credit requirement. So it really becomes, look, that would give it the most flexibility because you can't take fewer than 1 course, right? So I think 1.5 is a good compromise given the flexibilities we have within board policies. Look at other options that would allow them to be off campus remote and on their own time.
And we're only talking 4 students.
Yes.
Okay.
So I hope that helps some, Shannon. It may not be exactly what you wanted to hear 100%, but I feel like this is a good option, and I feel like we need to establish an expectation now in the event we get a lot of new enrollment, which I hope we do.
And you've had conversations with all 4 families that have
Yes.
are impacted.
3 of the 4 are already, before I knew it was 1.5, I was saying it was going to be 2. Like Shannon said, 3 of the 4 already agreed to do 2. Since we've amended that, we've given that flexibility, and of those 3, I think they're still decided to stay at 2 because we like some of our other options.
I really like the idea of trying to encourage as many homeschool students as we can on whatever part-time basis it is. I mean, the hope is, of course, that if they come here for 1.5 credit or 2 credits or whatever, that they'll like it and want to come for more and be a better deal for the school district and hopefully for the students.
You get a tiny bit of A and B too if they participate in any activity. So that also helps. It's a small amount, but we can count a 6-week or a 13-week. Most of our programs are 6-week. So that also helps as well. I've got a couple more things, policy updates. We'll have policy 7220, that's the Title I supplement and supplant policy, will be our second final reading tonight. So I will go over that. I think it's the last page in your packet. And that policy says, the school district will ensure that federal funds, Title I funds specifically, are used to supplement and not supplant state and local funds that would, in the absence of federal funds, be spent on Title I program or services supported by federal funds. Title I funds will not take the place of funds supporting education services that are to be provided to all students. The school district uses Title I funds only to supplement funds that would, in the absence of Title I funds, be made available from state and local non-federal sources for the education of children participating in the Idaho program. I feel like that's an important policy to add, considering we're being audited by the state next year for Title I. And just something that I noticed when I was looking over policies that was missing. We're already doing it anyway. It's not going to change really our practice, but it's going to give us a little more. It's going to give us a policy that's in writing that establishes, that gives the credence to what we're already doing, gives it a little more backbone, a little more tangible credence. The support that we are, and our Title I policies and practices at BCHS are in line with state and federal law. You can see my schedule to date. I have a couple more items. I wanted to mention that so May 20th through 22nd, I'll be out of the district attending my daughter's high school graduation in Georgia. Probably won't make it back for ours, unfortunately. I hate to get lined up that way. Barring any kind of emergency with family back home, I don't ever foresee missing another one. So I'm hoping to have 3 eventual high school graduations from BCHS. But I did want to mention that. I'll have my phone. I'll be available. I'm working with Rob to make sure everything's good to go for graduation, and he'll report on that. Maybe give you a little update. Everything's looking good from what I've heard. And the last thing I wanted to mention, and I guess not my report, but Mike and I, we're not working for BCHS. We're also trustees for the YMCA. And the YMCA on May 15th, we're doing a Dueling Pianos fundraiser for their Strong Family Foundation fundraiser. And so I just wanted to mention before tonight to see if we wanted to do anything as an organization, as the high school, to support the Y and their effort to raise money for that. I know that they're selling tables for $400 for 8 seats. That's May 15th. It's next Friday, not this Friday. And I think doors open at 6:30, and I think they start playing the piano at 7:30. What we did was we hired a dueling piano group out of Vegas to come in and do it. So it's going to be a great Friday night here in Dillon. Shouldn't be a whole lot of competition, we think, that night. And it should be a lot of fun. There'll be food provided. There'll be a barbecue with that. We're also taking donations. If we just want to be on the banner board for a donation, we could make a $300 donation, and we could have BCHS up there as supporting the Y.
I think that'd be great.
So
I had a good
thoughts on
relationship with the Y back and forth, and I think it showed good to support the Y. Everybody okay with that?
Yeah, did we just write a personal check for a dollar amount to get to the 300, or we pay for it through the district?
We paid for it through the district.
Oh, okay.
The district would pay for it.
Yeah.
And if we wanted to write a personal check,
You
we
could.
could do that.
You could. You give it to Mike or I, and we can sure it got over to Todd or to
Okay.
Ryan. But I think as much as we both work with kids and we share kids, and our kids, now the elementary kid, District 10, they go over there and do a lot of activities. Our high school kids work a lot over there in those activities. So I think, supporting each other is a good thing. So yeah, I think it'd be good if we had BCHS up there donating and supporting the Y.
I would like to take an opportunity to Roxanne Englet, the foundation of Montana Western. I went to them and they were gracious enough to buy a table for dueling pianos. So I would like to lend my support to Roxanne and her board and Montana Western and the foundations. Thanks so much.
Sure, somebody will be there having fun.
Yes, thank you, Roxanne.
But I mean, I would personally be willing to write a check for whatever, $50 or something to help offset that, so the school district doesn't have to fund it all. And I don't know, not that anybody else needs to, but why fund it all for the school if we're willing to, It's just a thought.
Okay.
Yeah.
Any other questions on my report or schedule or anything like that? All right, Gary, I'll turn it back over to you.
Okay, so I guess next thing we have then is this is the report, Rob.
And it's exactly up. This month, I would say, about 3 weeks, it's really good. Few weeks since the last board meeting, but attendance has gotten better. both out today. Actually, today we had our community service day. A few students thought it would be a good day to not at for, but the community service day actually was, I thought was successful. You look outside just to the west, you'll notice a bright even. It probably even goes in the dark, I think, there now.
Did they get it painted?
Yeah, really? I didn't know.
Is that Brock? Good job, Brock. Good job. That's awesome.
Kim and a bunch of kids.
Yeah, it's Brock.
What did you put on it, Brock?
Option, I guess. Hopefully it lasts. Yeah.
You see any snakes?
No. And then didn't you guys bring some solar panels up there? So then when we win an activity, they can do that as a D. Yeah. But any so let me back up a little bit. So we went out. So normally in the past we've had our community service day just have juniors and seniors go out. We decided on as a staff to send everybody out, and so all the students went out to help clean up the community. There was lots and lots of garbage bags filled up. We actually filled up 2 dump trailers full of stuff. Actually, we went to the Y, helped them organize some of those storage sheds out back, and actually took a dump trailer load full of stuff out of there. Seemed like they're pretty happy. Museum, library, fairgrounds, cemetery, out to the Cubs field, took some dogs for a walk. So we were kind of everywhere. Actually helped with the fields right by the field. They needed some fence to build, so we built fences there, some backstops. They just did a lot of existing stuff that got some encouragement. Along with that, things the discipline pretty constant. You know, we've already over the past 3 weeks, I would say, I think it was 11 free cell phone, 3 defiances. The little cooler, I think that behavior always stays pretty much in check. It's what I thought going around. Sometimes things get ready to be done. Just like the teachings are ready to be done, so they're ready to be done as well. And then, yes, graduation planned are only, Andrew will be the guest speaker on valedictorians and salutatorian. Then so can we solidify who is going to be at graduation amongst themselves? Mike, you said you were gonna do this.
What time do we need to be there?
And you're gonna do
Yes.
next.
Okay. It starts at 2. Does anyone that's on the board, we've kind of in the past, if you have a child or a niece or nephew or someone that you're close to, you can certainly welcome to give them the diploma if it's something that you would like to do in the veterans. And kind of neat to be able to do that. So. Anybody have anybody or any thinking of?
Also today, right after our community service day, we had our National Honor Society induction ceremony. We hired students that were inducted this year for total of 60 kids. Area. My service, quite a few parents showed up. Yeah, it's just fun to recognize those students that it's just not academic, but it's community service, and there's the oldest organizations that's out there, started by the Secondary School Principal Association back in the 20s. It's just taken over 1 million students that are involved in every city. states have at least the money participating in national Honor society. So it's that's all.
Okay, anybody have any questions for Rob? Okay, if not, we'll go on to Brock's report, I guess. Brock?
Pretty brief, but the band and choir just completed their district and state musical festivals. Has a ton of kids performed really well with their groups and individually. They'll have their fire truck ride tomorrow at noon. So just very, very proud of what they've achieved this year. A lot of work goes into that throughout the whole year. So just update, divisional tennis is in Ronan, May 19th through the 21st. The state will be in Hardin. Softball currently sitting in 4th place. We're looking to qualify probably via play-in game. Hopefully that state will be hosting Hamilton. Baseball is currently 1st in the conference. State May 28th through the 30th. That'll be at Polson. Track divisionals in Frenchtown, May 22nd through the 23rd. And the state meet in Laurel the following week. That's all I have, Mr. Love.
Okay, Brock, thank you very much. Anybody have any questions of Brock? Okay, if not, we'll go on to the consent agenda items. John?
Item 10.1 is a board consideration of possible approval of the recommended promotion of classified employee who is a paraprofessional, certified employee with status of non-tenured teacher for the 2026-2027 school year. And that teacher in 10.11 is Shelley Madsen, and she will be moving from her current position as title para to title teacher. This will be her first contract. Shelley Madsen is a certified English teacher, high school English teacher, so she is licensed and endorsed in Montana. She spent some time teaching in Belgrade before coming to us. And so I feel very comfortable and confident in making that recommendation tonight. Again, I mentioned that we're being audited by the state next year for title. And look at this more records. I think it would be really wise for us to have a certified teacher in that position as opposed to a paraprofessional.
And that's the position Betty Iverson had.
Correct. Position Betty Iverson.
Second.
Money wise, we're okay.
Yes, it's going to be a big race, but we made it work.
Been moved and seconded to hire Shelley Matson to move her from title para to title teacher first contract. Is there any discussion or question? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed, passes unanimously.
10.2, board consideration and possible approval of classified staff employment recommendations, which are specifically bus drivers for the 26-27 school year. There is a list in your packet. It's 2 pages. Bus drivers. 12 routes with 12 drivers.
I would make the motion to approve the, is it the routes and the drivers or just the?
Just the drivers.
Just the drivers.
Just in case you wanted to know what route they
Okay.
go. So their names are highlighted.
Yeah.
And you can see what route they look for.
Second. Been moved and seconded to hire the bus drivers that Josh mentioned. Was there any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, passes unanimously.
10.3 is board consideration and possible approval of classified staff employment recommendations. This would be fall and winter coaches and activity sponsors for the 26-27 school year. Again, you have a list that has been provided by Brock. Looks like this. The highlighted areas in yellow are the open areas. Those are currently vacant.
Assignments?
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the fall and winter athletic and activity assignments. Is there any discussion? And then the spring you'll do then at another
We're
meeting.
gonna do the spring ones in June,
Okay,
since they're officially be over.
all those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Those opposed, this is unanimously.
Next would be 10.4. Board consideration and possible approval of classified staff employment recommendations for new coaches for fall and winter. So item 10.41. On behalf of Brock, I'm recommending Jessica Hinkle as head girl volleyball coach. She is with us this evening.
I so move to approve Jessica Hinkle as the head girls volleyball coach.
You moved and seconded to hire Jessica Hinkle as the head girls volleyball coach. You want to give a speech or?
Thank you for taking a chance on me. I'm happy we can-
Thank you. Those in favor say aye. Aye.
Forward to is Casey Bell, the JV girls basketball coach. So for the volunteer this year, I believe.
Yeah,
Second.
Moved and seconded to hire Casey Ebelt as AV girls basketball coach. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, passes unanimously.
Item 10.5, work consideration and possible approval of the recommended hire of student summer maintenance workers. We can do them independently or all together. We have 10.51 Jackson Bergeson, 10.52 Taylor Bergeson, 10.53 Abigail Eason, and 10.54 Guy Holt. They all worked for us last year. We have 2 more open positions that are currently posted, and we'll see if we can get some students to fill those.
I would move to approve those students as summer.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the slate of summer maintenance workers of Jackson and Taylor Burgess and Abigail Eason and Guy Holt. Is there any discussion? Josh, do we want to, last year we had to have a special meeting to approve the extra ones. Do we want to include them in this motion?
Do you want to, if you want to approve the hire on Jack's recommendation?
Yeah.
2 additional, but I'm not him handle all that as an extra up here.
Can we amend that motion to approve the 4 with the approval of the other 2 based on Jack's recommendation?
The second,
Second.
moved and seconded to hire the 4 plus based on Jack's recommendation to hire the remaining 2. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
That's a unanimous. Okay. On to action items, I guess, Josh.
So 11.1 has to do with ASIC building repair project. We're gonna have that as a standing item in case there is anything last minute. We didn't have anything tonight, so I would make a recommendation to table item 11.1.
Josh and I thought that'd be a good idea just to have that as a standing
Yeah.
deal to keep from having to have a special meeting. Like he says, we don't need to do anything if we don't have anything. We don't need to make a motion to table it, do we?
I don't think so. So no action.
Okay.
Item 11.2, same thing. Been working with Taven and his mother Lindsay. And late tonight, before the meeting, if reconsidered, Taven's going to be with us for the entirety of next week. So we are excited about that to have him for the full year. And Coach McCray will be, and so will Coach Nordahl. So very excited to have Dave be here. 11.3, board consideration and possible approval to sign a 1-year contract with Pacific Source to be our district's health insurance carrier, 26-27 school year. So,
Second. Moved and seconded to sign a 1-year contract with Pacific Source to be the district health insurance carrier.
sign
Okay. Those in favor, or is any discussion? Those in favor say aye.
Aye.
Okay. Those opposed? Saying that now.
But our official contract will come out and say. Like that.
Yeah.
So this kind of just commits us to. Global. Item 11.4, work consideration and possible action to ratify the revised collective bargaining agreement between the district and the Beaver Grade Federation of Teachers.
So moved.
Sorry.
But the other.
Been moved and seconded. Ratify the revised collective bargaining agreement between the district and Beaverhead County Federation of Teachers. Any discussion? We pretty much hashed it over and explained it earlier, so those in favor say aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously. And Elliot, on behalf of the board, if you just gave pass on to not only your negotiating team, but the entire union, how much we appreciate working with them with the job you all do, and nice to be able to get things done without tempers flaring and people being upset. Thank you.
Item 11.5, work consideration and possible action to pass a resolution for the county election administrator to conduct school elections during the 2026-2027 school year in accordance with MCA 20-20-417. And so we'll see what that resolution looks like in your packet. Kind of annual thing we have to do if we're going to have the county administrator do it.
I so move. Second.
It's been seconded to, what does it say again? To pass the resolution for the county election administrator to conduct school elections. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye.
11.6, board consideration and possible approval of a new requirement for minimum enrollment in 1.5 courses per school year for part-time students. This is in accordance with MCA 20-5-101 and 20-9-311. And again, I am making that recommendation tonight, given that I've met with all those this directly impacts, and that the vast majority have already agreed, and that I've presented some very compelling options for those that haven't. So I feel like we've done our part with this. And again, so should things change in the future, I would recommend revisit this sideline and get all the way back to come back to this.
Make that motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve a new requirement for minimum enrollment in 1.5 courses per school year for the part-time students. Any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Shannon, thank you for your work on this. We sure appreciate it.
Item 11.7, board consideration and possible approval to update the high school course offerings for 2026-2027 next year by consolidating single gender health enhancement courses into a unified co-educational format. Co-ed PG in language terms.
I would make that motion.
Second.
Been moved and seconded to consolidate single gender health enhancement into a unified co-educational format. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously.
11.8, board consideration and possible approval to allow the district clerk to destroy any records that have met or exceeded the required retention period. That's in accordance with MCA 20-1-212.
Make that motion.
Second.
Moved and seconded to allow the district clerk to destroy any records that have met or exceeded the required retention period. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Any opposed? That's it.
11.9, board consideration and possible approval of the second semester TR6 bus route transportation forms. Got one form looks like that, has all our routes. Just ask for your approval tonight.
I'll make that motion. Second.
Been moved and seconded to approve the second semester DR6 bus route transportation forms. Any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
Item 11.10, board discussion and possible action to approve a resolution to dispose of 2 travel buses in accordance with MCA 20-6-604. You can see that resolution here. Those 2 travel buses with those max diesel engines that have been the bane of our existence. Don't tell anybody that maybe there's a super mechanic out there that can resurrect them somehow and be a great deal. But we need, in order to, remember with school transportation funds, we can only maintain our fleet. We can't increase it. So when we purchase a replacement activity bus, we have to dispose of one on the current fleet. So we're disposing of 2 so we can replace them with 2 newer ones.
I would make that motion. To dispose of.
Seconded to approve a resolution to dispose of 2 travel buses. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed? Passes unanimously.
11.11, board consideration and possible approval to add Josh Patterson, the superintendent principal, as an authorized user on the Southwestern Montana Community Federal Credit Union account, formerly High Peaks Federal Credit Union.
I'll make that motion.
Second. Then moved and seconded to approve to add Josh Patterson as an authorized user on the Southwest Montana Community Federal Credit Union account. Is there any discussion? All those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed, the same.
What do we use that for again?
Passes unanimously.
I don't know if I've ever used.
These are Visa cards, so really, we're only using them if we go to Costco. And they don't work very well most of the time. I'm very, very tempted to get rid of. So that might be what happens. I figured we better at least get Josh. This is a little late.
Item 11.12, board consideration and possible approval of the final reading of new policy 7220, Title I supplement supplant.
I'll make that motion.
Then moved and seconded to approve the final reading of new policy 7220, Title I supplement. Is there any discussion? Those in favor say aye. Aye. Those opposed? Passes unanimously. Okay. Next is litigation strategy.
I don't have an update tonight, litigation strategy, so I move to table recommend that we take no action on item 12.
Good. This is one okay with that?
Yeah.
That's good.
No news is good news.
I would like to thank everyone for trusting me to be your chairman, so.
Thanks for continuing.
Here, I think, 39.
Oh my God.
What I think. And Suzanne, thank you for being a district clerk and Bill, Nicole, and Roxanne, thank you for being to play again with us.
I printed this and forgot. Let's see if anybody wanted to switch up committees.
Yes, did you guys see that community deal there? If anybody wants to change or
Just get in our groove.
we are just going. If anybody wants to change, just hold it. Suzanne and John.
Even let them change up at the university there. Like,
It's
not there's
there, it's there.
Yeah.
Okay, this is fine. Where Roxanne is. Unfilled.
You just twisted our arm really nicely.
Is there any other business to come before the board? Casey, any questions? Ellie, anything from the teachers in? Okay, Joe. Any comments, any further comments? Jean, you have any?
Gina, I wondered if I wondered if you wanted one of the buses. This is really like Just to taste it, yeah, they get into it.
Any beer lately, Gene?
No. I'm gonna miss everyone.
Lately,
Not find out.
Buses to be with that or anything, not shoot at one of the buses to shoot at or anything. Not bad.
You want to smash the bus for graduation. There you go. Yeah.
No. I do have to say, I will say. We have our gentleman that's out at the bus garage, Mr. John Campbell. He is the most amazing mechanic you have ever met in your life. He knows more about those buses than Kirk or Jack or 10 other people put together.
really?
He is incredible, but he's a great young man. He's a little bit older than me. He's very good. He works his butt off.
And he's not retiring.
I won't speak for him. Speak about him. I won't speak for him.
Shannon, any other thoughts or comments? Okay. If not, our next meeting would be June 8th, and I would entertain a motion to adjourn tonight. No discussion, so we're adjourned.